So, my name's Femi, and you are?
My name is Nick Brennan.
Nick Brennan, and you're a local?
I am a local from Wolverhampton. What happened is, our wages was like knocked down quite considerably because we used to get £8 an hour going back about 10 years ago, £7 an hour, things like that. Then all of a sudden, we were kind of like flooded with a lot of kind of like young, fit, healthy, robotic kind of like migrants from Lithuania and Poland.
Okay.
I've met loads of them, I get on with them, I've added them on social media and everything, I get on with all of them, and I like them personally. I've worked in distribution centres at Argos and Poundland. It's mainly the cheap migrants that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the highly skilled migrants, which are definitely needed in the NHS and all over the place, in my opinion, and I think they should be able to stay. Some of these companies, they're not even owned by British people, they're owned by venture capitalists from Germany and America. Yeah, because I did a lot of research on them. So they're owned by outside money, they're shipping in cheap migrants to do the quick, and then they're not paying all the tax either. Yeah, and then on top of that, our wages got dropped. That's just one of the reasons why I personally voted for it, It's like we're getting disaffected, we're getting pushed out.
The notion of sending your profits offshore. That's because basically companies are able to do that. And the thing is, if you want to tax businesses in the UK and avoid them doing that, that needs rules that apply across the whole of Europe.
And they're not willing to do it.
Well, the EU is working on what's called the Common Corporate Consolidated Tax Base, which is literally a rule that says you can't hide your profits in another EU country. So addressing the issue that you just mentioned can be best done within the EU.
You know, the UK, we've got 13 tax havens. Guess what? The EU took them off the list.
The mistakes of Britain, the mistakes of our country, are being blamed on the EU. Because if we're allowing tax havens to exist in this country, that's our fault.
Say like if Britain goes there with David Cameron, David Cameron went there and he said, I want this and I want. They never give him anything. They never give him that much. I personally think they're laughed at by the EU. They're like a laughing stock.
One of the issues with when David Cameron went to try and renegotiate things is that under the EU's rules, you can't come to this country without a job unless you have enough money to not become a burden on the social, on the welfare state, and you need to have comprehensive medical insurance, which is why other countries such as Belgium, Austria, when you arrive there first, you have to register with the state, provide a copy of your employment contract. The UK government chose not to use the EU's restrictions on immigration, so when we then went to go and ask for more restrictions on immigration, them, knowing that we weren't using the ones we already had, of course they laughed. They did give some concessions, but of course they weren't going to say, well, you're not using the restrictions you're already available to you and you want more. So again, it's a failure of the UK government.
The UK government. And I'll tell you what brought the camels back for me, when the EU offered to pay for British food banks and David Cameron turned them down. David Cameron said no. That was a disgusting.
But this is the common theme that I'm finding. Things in this country do need to change because it's not working for everybody. It's not working for people in situations like you or your workers who are being undercut. But a large part of it are problems that need to be fixed here at home. And essentially,
we've got a problem.
We do. I mean, we're not heard. We have first past the post, which means you can't vote for a party that actually represents you. And even when the parties get in power, you then can't really control them because you've got no leverage because you can't vote for another party.
And then they're changing the boundaries as well. Have you saw that one? You know the seats that you need to win, 326. They're changing the seats. They're changing the boundaries.
That's the gerrymandering problem that you have in America.
Massive problem here with that. Outside lobbyists having offices in Westminster, drinking in taxpayer subsidised bars with politicians, paying them a considerable amount of money to do this, that, the other, and all kind of things, and the taxpayer feels, in my opinion, I can't
powerless.
I can't talk. We feel powerless. We feel like billionaires can treat us like lemmings.
That's an issue of we need PR. We need some way of making sure that there's proportional representation, because otherwise there's no accountability.
That's right. But there's another thing as well. There's a couple of things I want to speak to you about. First one is this. You know, Brexit, it's part of an anti-New World Order thing as well. You remember the New World Order, when everybody's going, the New World Order is we're going to be like, we're going to get all strong. George Bush said it, and a couple of others, his dad. and a few others, and they said what we're going to create is this new world order. Yeah, I'm not talking about the Illuminati or anything like that. I'm just talking about countries getting together. So when the EU got together in that strong thing, yeah. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to be like an individual country, like Donald Trump's doing. Donald Trump is sticking his fingers up to them and going, you know what, we're going to make America great again. Donald Trump, he's got a lot of problems. I'm 50-50 with him. He does a lot of mistakes and he says a lot of bad things, but do you understand where I'm coming from? There's a growing thing to that anti-New World Order.
I hear what you're saying, but to a certain extent, Donald Trump doesn't need to do that because he's already got a massive country that's almost the size.
Of course he has. You know, Germany, they've got a trade surplus of £50 billion annually a year. Every other one of the EU membership states, trade deficit of billions. So they're bullying the EU.
Well, it's kind of they have a card which they're playing really well, but I mean, for example, they have 93 of the 700. They have, I think, 90 out of the 750 seats in the European Parliament.
Yeah.
We have 73, which means we pretty much, relative to other countries, we pretty much have a similar say. Just they have a slightly bit more. Problem is, we voted in the last European elections. We voted for UKIP. UKIP won.
Yes.
And UKIP doesn't show up to meetings. When they go there, they antagonise. Whereas Germany actually they elect useful, constructive politicians that can actually get stuff done.
And then there's all this other stuff about Slovenia not happy, Hungary, Poland. Italy.
Yeah.
Well, it looks to me like, I don't mean to be rude. I'm just being totally honest with you. It's not a happy ship.
Well, that's the thing. You may not know about this about me, but I literally used to work for an organisation that was called Austerity, Alliance for Lobbying, Transparency and Ethics Regulation.
Yeah.
As in, we know the EU needs reform. We know that there are issues that need to be, but the thing is, those countries like Poland and Hungary, they have issues with the EU, but they don't want to leave because they know that we're stronger together. And regarding reforming the EU, dealing with the policies immigration issues, regarding the refugee crisis, those are issues that are best dealt if we have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
If we don't have a seat at the table, we can't actually address those issues.
I can understand where you're coming from. I've heard this point before. I think what's confusing for British people like me who lives in Wolverhampton is the person in the EU would be dealing with it. I would have never heard of him. I would it'll be some sort of guy from Holland or whatever. And I'm not nationalistic at all, believe it or not. We'll talk about that in a bit. Okay. But I've never heard of these people, and I bet you, I've heard this spoken before, where they say Brexiteers, they don't know what they were voting for. But I personally think, if I asked you, you would know because you sound like you know what you're talking about. And
most Remainers did not know what they were voting for either.
They don't. If I ask them, who is that man? Who is that? Who is he? What's this treaty? They don't know what So I get this impression that a lot of Remainers think Brexiteers or xenophobic, nationalistic racists, they expect 75% of all Brexiteers do not want foreigners, get you all out, this and that, blah, 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 blah. In my opinion, I can't speak for everybody, but it's more to do with the numbers and the wage drop. Because I've always said this, if it was all £1,000 a week, no one would care. If we all had £1,000 a week, believe you me, we'd all be out like this, dancing.
But you'd probably agree with me. The issue is austerity. It's an issue that's right here at home.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with austerity, if the purse strings of Westminster get tightened, austerity only gets worse. Because we can't guarantee that the next government will be Labour. It will probably be Tory. And the thing is, okay, if the next government's Tory, austerity gets a hell of a lot worse because of Brexit. If the next government's Labour, Labour gets blamed for everything that happens as a result of Brexit. So neither Brexit helps you in any way.
Both strong propaganda machines. And if you saw when Theresa May announced that thing the other day, and it was all over the news at the weekend about this 24 billion in, 2024? Yeah, how would she know? They don't even know what's going to happen in 3 months.
I did a video on the 20 billion video.
They don't even know what's going to happen in 6 months' time. For all they know, the markets could crash. So this is the other thing about politics. Politics is all great for us all having opinions, but the banks rule everything. The banks rule a lot. And a lot of the problem with whether you stay in or whether you stay out is a lot of the bankers are cock-sniffing crooks.
Well, I mean, okay, but here's the thing though. the banking centre of Europe is London.
Yeah, I know.
And a lot of the regulations over the banking sector set in Westminster, not Brussels.
I know.
So again, these are issues that are best dealt with here.
Well, I think what a lot of people want to do, I'm not positive, so I don't like to generalise, but I think what a lot of people thought was, if we get out of the EU, that's the first hurdle out of the way. Then we've got more time to collectively go at the Tories and the establishment.
Here's the thing though, if Brexit happens, every news cycle that you hear for the next probably 50 years, it's going to be Brexit. It's going to be trying to make up for the loss of trade with the EU. It's going to be trying to negotiate trade with other. I mean, you've seen how chaotic negotiations are now. It's all the government's doing. If you want to actually fix the problems in this country, housing crisis, NHS, low wages, austerity, Brexit is tying the hands.
I don't think either. To be honest, if I'm looking at it and I'm listening to you, and as I was listening to you, I don't think either way is going to fix it. Whether we say, like, if we decided like Brexit wasn't going to happen and we stayed in, or if we, I don't think.
But that's the thing.
It's insurmountable.
I tell Remainers all the time, if you think returning to the status quo is okay, you do not deserve to stop Brexit.
I don't think it's okay now.
Yeah, but that's the point. Stopping Brexit isn't the end of it. We have to stop Brexit and then actually address those issues. And we actually have the resources, the time, the government facilities to actually address those issues. Everything that you've mentioned, those are serious issues that need to be addressed. Yeah. But the government isn't going to do it whilst it's trying to negotiate, trying to trade deals.
The problem is, I agree with you. The problem is they're not going to do it anyway, because obviously it's a bit of a bad statement, but whoever's in the power, power corrupts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's because of the broken system. It's because they're first past the post, because they know that their seats are safe.
Right. And I think somebody caught George Osborne before saying, they said to him, why aren't you building more houses? And apparently he said, why would we build houses to breed Labour voters?
Jesus Christ.
So, as you can imagine, like he got caught up a bit on the hop, but you can kind of, like, when people are kind of like, they got the public face and then they got the kind of like real face when they're down the Bullingdon Club and this, that, the other. And there's a lot of distrust. When I see stuff like Theresa May's got a 45% approval rating, I think, where are these people? Because we're stuck in the middle, it's right in the middle. Yeah. We don't really understand what goes on down London.
It's too far away.
I haven't been to London for years, about 12 years, I haven't been down south for years, although I have been down there, but I haven't been down south. All we see is round here. Now, we've got this is like a bargain town. It's like we've got our Primarks, we've got our different shops, we've got our Poundland, stuff like that. All the big places like Beatties, which is kind of like House of Fraser, it's going bust. And that, I personally think that's because there's not enough money around here. The wages are low, and
so you can't have high-end shops.
And so you can't really afford high-end shops, And the people who live around the outskirts, they can go to Birmingham, which is only 19 miles down the road, and another one, which is the Merry Hills shopping centre. So
that's where I do my Christmas shopping.
Sort of like generalise Wolverhampton is sort of like a bargain town. It always votes Labour. Been voting Labour for years, and I haven't really looked at the percentages, but you might have checked. Did Wolverhampton vote for Brexit?
Yeah, it was a massive majority.
Yeah, massive majority. So a lot of people feel disaffected around here. They feel pushed out. But here the paradox. I get on with hundreds of migrants. I really like them, and I talk to them all the time. And I used to have a Lithuanian girlfriend for 1 year, and then she moved to London and for work. But it's nothing to do with disliking European people. It's about economics and survival.
Well, I agree. And here's the thing: if the minimum wage is being undercut, that is a national issue.
It is.
And given that, I mean, I'm not an economist, but from everyone I've checked. Immigrants are a net contributor to the economy.
They are, 20 billion.
Yeah, so it's about making sure that the minimum wage stays high with that, so that there's no undercutting. In fact, the EU's actually the Parliament recently passed a rule particularly to prevent the undercutting. So again, these are issues that are best done inside the EU.
I think the working class feels so put upon. We had this austerity thing, and this is another thing as well. I was following it in 2010, and I remember David Cameron and George Osborne saying, "We will never borrow. The Labour Party under Tony Blair have got this country in so much of the blah 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 blah." Got him out. They borrowed £600 billion. And we asked them why, and they went, "Oh, because the money's cheap, because you can get it from the central banks at very, 0.02. They're basically printing the money.
Yeah.
It's quantitative easy, yeah." So a lot of the stuff I say is all lies. It's all constant lies, and most of the people I talk to, I don't know any Tories. I don't know anybody who likes Tories around here.
Well, it's austerity that's strangling people.
So, but I can see your point, but I personally think, this is from my point of view, there's a lot of anti-establishment and anarchists who voted for Brexit in large numbers, I've read it in The Spectator, and apparently it was the largest anti-establishment vote. Stick your fingers up to the British public.
Well, I was campaigning before, and I was speaking to people who said literally, "I'm doing it to stick it to Cameron."
Yes. And I'm glad that we met, because now you can realise I'm quite a passionate person on the internet, and I can come across as quite aggressive or anything, blah blah blah. But believe me, I'm a very friendly person. I get on with a lot
I can
of
see
people.
that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I get on with a lot of people, but we don't like being sort of like marginalised. We don't like being kind of like overly abused by Philip Greens and your Mike Ashley's, who on Sports Direct and all that, because he was in the Channel 4 documentary, Mike Ashley. I don't know if you saw.
What did he say?
Where he had loads of migrants working for him, and he was abusing them, and he was doing this thing called 3 strikes and you're out. But he was giving them strikes for being ill. So, say if somebody's ill, and they're a migrant from Poland, so even though I wouldn't be happy that English people got marginalised and the Polish got in, I still think and care about those workers, And what it is, he was saying to them, do it really, really fast, the same as Amazon. You've got to scan 1,000 items in an hour or you're out, Now, this fast-paced economy going on where everything's dirt cheap, but a lot of migrants are getting used by
This is precisely the sort of thing that a Labour government would deal with, would address it directly. But again, you just need the resources.
I think the other thing is one of the many things is this as well. You know, Jean-Claude Juncker, when he was in Luxembourg, he was involved in
massive tax scandal.
That is a bit of a he's denied it, and I wouldn't know. I'm just kind of speculating. I wouldn't know.
But the guy needs to go. He's a drunk, incompetent. Who can't read the temperature.
You know what I like, and I think people like me live in this kind of like hope that he can just get rid of a lot, and we can get out of the EU, and then we can take on the establishment and ruin them. Now, it's probably a bit of a far-fetched idea, because they are very, very powerful people worth billions of pounds.
But you're right. There is an establishment thing whereby establishment feels completely unaccountable. That is definitely true. But I mean, again, the European Union has proportional representation, which means that somebody with your views are more likely to be heard in the European Parliament than in the UK Parliament.